Disabled but enabled. Switch on the power within.
Sickle cell disorder is a genetic disorder. It's a genetic blood disorder, really, because it affects the red blood cells. So if two people, mother and father, both have genotype AS and AS, they've got a 50% chance of giving birth to a child with sickle cell disease. And what that means is that the child's red blood cells, rather than being circle, are sickle in shape. So the child produces red blood cells that are sickle in shape. So if you can imagine sickle-shaped cells flowing through the blood veins as opposed to round-shaped cells, these red blood cells are also sticky. They're usually sickle in shape because level of oxygen in them. So you can imagine that a round-shaped sickle cell, they're usually sickle in shape. So basically almost like a C-shaped. I mean, if you think about the sickle that the farmers use to harvest, so that's almost like that shape. And so a shape like that trying to flow through the veins as opposed to round shapes flowing through the veins. And basically they do not carry enough oxygen around the body. These shaped cells are also very sticky. So they can then stick together and they cause pains at the joints, heart, and it could go from any pain to the joint to a stroke to anything really. So basically the red blood cells carries the oxygen, which means you don't have enough oxygen going around the body really. I think the reality is ignorance because it's not contagious. That's the reality about it. Sickle cell is not contagious. The only way you can get sickle cell is if you're born with it. And the other way you'll be born with it is if both your parents carry the S genotype. So if the genotypes are AS and AS. Otherwise, you cannot get sickle cell. It is not contagious. However, people don't know enough about it. Actually, I found out something quite interesting very recently. Up until very recently, I thought only people of African origin, like Africans and Black Americans, have sickle cell. However, I met a lady, a Caucasian lady recently, who told me that the first time she heard about sickle cell was from a Caucasian, actually an Irish friend at work. So she worked with this Irish girl ages ago who was always ill, and eventually they found out that she had sickle cell, which was quite strange. Anyway, so up until recently I thought it was just Black African people that have it, but I've heard of one Irish person, so hey-ho. I guess because it's unpredictable, because people that have sickle cell can supposedly look all healthy and normal 1 minute and the next minute have a crisis. And obviously, if you don't know what to do, then you're kind of helpless. So maybe that's why people shy away. Painful. I don't know how to describe the pain. I've had a child and I don't know which one was worse. Actually, I would say it's worse than labor pain because the pain can be concentrated on one part of your knee. For instance, you can start having a pain in your knee and I think, oh my God, my knee hurts, my knee hurts, my knee hurts. And before you can say Jack Robinson, your arm is hurting and you don't even know where to hold anymore. So it's a very painful, I don't even know if painful qualifies it, situation. It was kind of interesting because before I was born, my parents never heard of it, didn't know what it was. And my first 2 years, well, my mom told me, I was like, my brother's the next normal child, the next child that was just born into the family. Until one day she got back from work, I couldn't walk. After going back and forth from the hospital a few times, finally found out I had sickle cell. They didn't know what it was. The doctor had to educate them on what it was all about. And it was quite interesting. My mom, being a mother now, I understand her, was very protective. She was very, very protective. Don't go out in the sun. Have you had enough water? And sometimes, to be honest, it did get on my nerves because I was like, just leave me alone. I just want to be. But like I said, being a mother now, I understand her. My dad was a bit more relaxed. My dad was a bit more, you can do it. So I guess I had the balance. You know, I had a very protective mother and a very relaxed father. He wasn't lackadaisical in any way, shape or form. He was very caring, very loving, but he just treated me like every other child, which I loved very, very much.
Disabled but enabled. Switch on the power within.